And we'll wind up at
the Rural Fire Service in New South
7
Wales
minutes.
has requirements for fixed wing operators in fire suppression.
Okay, Senator.
In many areas of New South Wales, Rural Fire Service is at odds with federal requirements for the operation of aircraft. To what extent does the Civil Aviation Safety Authority control aerial firefighting in New South Wales beyond certificate approvals and pilot licensing?
If I heard you correctly, sorry, Senator, you were just a bit muffled. Is it what do we do beyond aerial firefighting and pilot licensing?
To what extent does the Civil CASA control aerial firefighting in Australia beyond certificate approvals and pilot licensing?
We're occasionally called on to designate special areas of airspace, Senator.
Is it necessary for CASA to accredit any activities of aerial firefighting management being undertaken by state bodies such as the New South Wales Rural Fire Service or accredit training syllabi presently approved by the Australian National Training Authority? I've got a series. I think we ought to have a briefing. I've got some pretty serious stuff about, and that young bloke that got killed at the Thunga, which is just across the road from where I am, who had 4.5 hours in that Droma modified plane, which was overweight the buggery, and we're wondering, and some serious people in the flying world are concerned about, it seems to be a lack of accreditation and regulation in how they operate rural fire service planes, and the requirement, for instance, that they've got to have 5 radios in the plane. The requirement that an aircraft used for firefighting should have 5 radios installed. This was done unilaterally by the New South Wales Rural Fire Service. I mean, you have no oversight over that sort of stuff?
Look, I'm aware of these issues, Senator. I was just actually at Pays Air Services in Scone, where we were discussing this. It became a bit of a revelation to me as well. They had 5 radios on board. But perhaps it's best with these issues, Chair, and Mr Murdoch, there's agreement we could arrange a meeting through the Minister's office where we could address all these issues in
well, certainly I've had a letter here of great concern from a law solicitor's firm in Cooma, and they've raised some pretty serious issues, and I just think somehow we ought to conference it. And
yeah, well, more than happy to do that, Senator.
Perhaps, Senator, if I may, through you, the Chair, if I ask through the Minister's office we arrange a discussion between yourself, Senator.
As you know, we don't play politics.
I think there are legitimate issues like this, Senator. If through the Minister's office we might arrange with you a meeting with Mr McCormack and his key people to
if we
at least
do
get
that,
the
I could
record.
get a couple of people along.
Yeah.
I think that's the way, Senator, if you can get some people as well, or we're more than happy to sit down with experts and work through this. I agree with you, this is not an issue to muck around with, so we need to move on.
I have also a series of questions. I have 20 accidents which have been recorded since the 16th of February 2013, 5 of them fatal. These are air incidents and accidents, 5 of them have been fatal. And so I've got a series of questions which I might also present to you. And
I think that's probably given the nature of it, I think it's probably requires discussion.
well, that's in February this year.
So, Senator Heffernan, just so I'm very clear and for the Hansard record, that Mr McCormack and Mr Murdoch, through the Minister's office, you will organise a briefing for those who are interested. It's not an extension of Senate estimates.
No, I think we'll organise a private meeting with Senator Heffernan where we can get the right people in the room and have a discussion about these issues.
And whoever else wants to come along. Whoever else wants to come along is a very important issue, and I'll be there too. But it is not an extension of Senate estimates. Okay, we're all clear. All right, thank you. Senator Heffernan, are you happy?
Yeah.
Okay, Senator Edwards.
Is left. Mr McCormack, given the tabling of the report into the Pell Air crash and the 26 recommendations that was tabled by the Senate last week, have you had a meeting with the Minister to prepare a preliminary brief as to your response to that?
I haven't had a meeting with the Minister, no, Senator.
Mr Murdoch?
I've had a discussion with the Minister just briefly in relation to it. As I undertook this morning, we're now preparing advice. The Department will take the lead on providing advice to the Minister on the report, including incorporating the views of the agencies, and we're doing that as a matter of urgency.
Okay. Is there any of the 26 recommendations that you, Mr McCormack, are likely to reject?
Senator, I think it's best if I say that it's a tabled report in Parliament, and I can't go into the report at this stage. It's for the Minister or the Government to formulate a response.
All right. I take you back to a report of the ATSB in 1993 into the Monarch aviation accident in Young. And in that report, if you go to it, and it's particularly, and I can give you the number of it, it relates to, on pages 54 and 57 of that, the ATSB was critical of, or the CAA as it was at the time, but incarnated as your organisation, of organisational goals, poor division of responsibilities, poor planning, inadequate resources, ineffective communications, poor control, poor operating procedures. Seems 20 years later, is it too much of a stretch, or am I putting my chin out too far to say that we, after 23 recommendations of that report, that we haven't progressed too much in CASA?
Oh, we've progressed an enormous amount, Senator. As I said earlier on, the report in 2009 is the Pell reports, whatever, that is an indication of what had happened in the intervening years. And I can't speak too much about what happened in the intervening years, and only for a few months of 2009. Having said that, occurred on my watch. We're a totally different organisation to we were then. We don't operate the same way, we don't have the same systems, we don't have the same processes, and we are a learning organisation. Okay. So we are always on a continuous improvement path. I can categorically say that the lessons of Monarch, and I'm not familiar with those particular pages, but I can
sure
guarantee you the
be.
lessons that
You'll
we have
have a read of
learned,
them.
we are learning every day, and we are moving forward.
All right.
Certainly, I can certainly indicate from my perspective, I know that Monarch inquiry very well, and the resultant action. CASA is a very different organisation in its regulatory approach, and the industry's regulatory approach is quite different to what it was in 1993. And I think had the practices that were evident in 1993 continued, the Australian aviation industry would not be in the good shape it is today.
Okay. When do you think the department will be responding to the Senate report?
I undertook this morning, we're aiming to get some advice to the Minister within the next week in relation to initial piece of advice. That's on an approach. I can't comment on when the government will respond to the report, but I think, as I acknowledged to the committee this morning, the Minister certainly understands the urgency of responding to the report.
Aviation safety and its culture can't wait. Thanks.
Senator, I undertook this morning, the Minister is full, and the government will respond in a very timely way, I believe.
Thank you.